worst flight, not the Falcons. It's Raheem
Oh.
Morris sitting up in first class holding his timeouts.
Oh my god.
He's just
Nice.
you got to check those timeouts, or can you carry them on?
Oh,
You know, do you have to put those on the conveyor belt? That was some of the worst clock management, and you know, it's kind of the same thing the Bears got in trouble for, was like not having a plan in that situation.
Defensive head coaches, man, they just don't know how to use those timeouts at the end of games. It's crazy.
And the thing is, like, you know, the games, Penix played so well, undeniably, in spots, and he's looked so promising over 2 weeks that I can't speak for Falcons fans who had no expectation of making noise probably through 3 weeks ago. But it kind of softens the blow of all this because you kind of got a guy. You're like, I got a guy, you know, who's got big hands, evidently.
That's all they want to talk
Can
about.
throw in the cold.
Seriously.
And he does look good. And he looks like an adult, right? And, you know, I think it might soften the blow of your coach kind of fumbling the bag there at the end of the game, because you could have used a couple more yards. And not just that, the decision, you asked me, Nolan, you were like, you know, what are the chances of a Hail Mary relative to that kick? Because when the kick left his foot, I was like, oh, damn, that's going in. And then it died 10, 12 yards short of the goalpost.
Yeah, it's like, how do you not know the guy's range? I mean, you
know. The announcers knew the guy's range. They were like, this guy had a brutal pregame.
He struggled mightily and won.
Struggled mightily.
Which is awesome.
So Atlanta, in a very Atlanta way, finds a way not to win this game. But you know, early penalties for Washington. You talk about a team with aspirations right now, even though they're still ahead of schedule in a building mode. They can scare people because that quarterback, we've been talking about it all year. If anybody doesn't believe, you better believe now. They overcame 1st and 20 all night. They overcame all types of procedural pre-snap penalties. They could have put it away on the Cosme hold. You know, Ertz was huge, provided the spark out of the half when it felt like nothing was going right. Big explosive touchdown, and then ends it with probably one of the toughest catches of the day in a big moment. You know, Zacchaeus helped in between, minus that drop where I was like, oh man, our guy had a great game. Then he drops the ball on the final possession. They bail him out. But, you know, just having Jayden Daniels in 4th down situations with his legs, it is 4th and 1. They boot him out. They pick up a 4th and 5. You know, his legs, his arm, the whole thing. He's just the total package, and this team is ahead of schedule. Can you imagine? We talked about T. Higgins going to Denver. How fun that would be for you.
Yeah.
Oh,
how about DC Higgins?
Yeah.
I know Eagles fans might not want to hear this.
Woo.
But can you imagine? I mean, if they can add one more receiver to this group,
they need more.
Yeah.
And continue. I know
Terry's not cutting it for me.
Terry's not cutting it for you. I'm not hearing that.
I got locked down.
I love Terry as a 2. I love Terry as a 2.
That's fine.
Like, I love him as like an amazing 2.
They're similar. They're similar players.
But relying on him, or like, if that's like your go-to guy in the clutch, I don't
know about that. I do agree that he's not an elite one.
Yeah. No.
But you can get by if you have, you know, I want to put this the right way, a low-end 1, which is still an amazing player.
No, absolutely.
And like a high-end 2. You can get by that way.
It's like a 1B.
Yeah. Because if you brought in Higgins,
really good, man,
then you've got 2 guys who are like ones.
Yeah.
And you could argue
Terrell has to make a decision.
Nice. And then you've got to make a decision.
He was all over McLaurin. McLaurin had 1 on 7 targets for 5 yards.
But Terrell's kind of thought of as the same guy, where he's like, he's a number 1 corner. He's earned that right. But he's not like an elite corner. And, you know, in a situation like that, you'd like to have you'd like to win that matchup. But the bottom line is, this game late.
Nice. I mean, I'm just saying, it's nice when you have your number 1 receiver get locked down by the defense's number 1 corner, and you can still distribute the ball to guys like Ertz, Zacchaeus, things like that. And that's a vet move from a young quarterback.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah,
dude, Jayden Daniels is so fucking smooth on the move. Like,
he's so
JD smooth.
127 on.
Did you see that one where he ran around Grady Jarrett in the backfield and then hit a little pop, and then just kind of slowly stepped out of bounds? It was like, God, that was sick.
He's like, very smart in picking his spots, just like he is in the pass game. You know, he takes care of the football. They got something in this guy, but the game late, it was pretty interesting to watch. it turned into a Michael Davis show in a bad way. I don't know if you could have been any person in the maybe you call it a city, district of Washington, D.C. There's nobody I would have rather. I mean, I'd have rather been in a holding cell for the night than be Michael Davis at that moment late in the game. They were just trying to ruin his career. Mm-hmm. And it felt like on those final drives that they just couldn't get away from these guys in the explosives and Drake London, but they find a way to hold on. Now the Falcons overcame. This is pretty damn amazing. This Falcons drive where it culminated in touchdown to Pitts, who, by the way, good for Pitts.
Good for
because the Pitts hate is getting a little out of control.
It's crazy.
Nolan was talking about this yesterday.
It is.
Yeah,
it's crazy. I mean, guy's a rookie, goes for 1,000 yards, has an injury, the quarterback situation there, and he's getting flamed.
He's getting killed.
Broadcast.
He's getting killed.
Crazy.
And you know what that is? That's hate.
That's hate.
That's high pick hate.
Timeout.
Timeout.
Yeah.
That and to me, you gotta look at guys with the context of who they're catching the football from. The whole thing. Why do you think Atlanta had to do all this offseason? Because they've been throwing the ball with washed up. It was Desmond Ridder last year. The year before that, it was who?
Marcus
His
Mariota.
rookie years. Marcus Mariota.
A little Heineke in there.
Heineke.
You're not playing with a full deck. And he hasn't been used correctly at times.
Mm-hmm.
They've been trying to force him to be something he's not at times. And so good for him making that catch, really tough contested catch, because a little bit earlier, Chin played through his hands in a big situation. I was like, oh, fuck, here we go. They're going to say, Pitts is this, that. But on this one drive, they overcame a phantom McGarry hold. They went 4th and long. They hit London for 31. The bad snap was like nightmarish, minus 21 yards, and then 4th and 10 to Pitts, all in the same drive.
Yeah.
So I think Penix
That was icy.
showed a lot
Yeah.
of freaking. And when you got Bijan Robinson back there, who some people are like, well, was he worth it? I don't know if he's worth it or not, but he's a damn good back. And the bottom line is he's yours, and I think you can build around this group in the backfield. So it's exciting for Atlanta on a lot of levels, but you like to come out with the game. And you can't have a rando kicker like that in a big spot.
Let me ask you something.
This is go ahead, Nate.
I was going to ask this. I know it's not his job to, but in that situation as a quarterback or someone on the offense, like, why not Penix just take the timeout? If you're thinking about it, like just take the time.
Probably because he's a rookie.
I hear it, but like, why don't more quarterbacks, like when we see this situation happen, when we kind of think time management isn't done the right way, if you're a quarterback in that situation and you kind of feel or know the feel like, hey, this is taking too long, why not you in the moment just burn it? Just burn the timeout.
I mean, yeah, arguably, but because maybe you're listening to your coach.
No,
I don't know.
I hear you. I hear you.
Bottom line is, very Falcons way to lose a game where they're still winners to me because they made the switch. Penix looks good. They have a chance in Week 18 to get in. It's going to take the Bucs losing, which probably isn't going to happen. They're playing New Orleans, but you never know. I mean, like the Bucs yesterday looked like a well-oiled machine. Man. But in the future, here's the thing that really helps. Even if you don't make the playoffs, this year in preseason, they did not play Penix a lot. Doesn't seem like they put a lot of emphasis on preseason with him. Next year, if he didn't play now, the first you'd really get a look at him would be during preseason, presumably, if he made the switch. And you don't know what you have.
Mm-hmm.
Now you know what you have, and you got him some real quality work at the end of the season. And that can catapult him. So, very good. I'm going to say this about the Commanders. Fowler deserves a lot of credit for the way he's played this year. I love Dorrance Armstrong. I think he's a good player. Luvu is a stud. Wagner's a stud. We talk about the tackles till we're blue in the face. But Fowler is a guy who's resurrected his career. I'll never forget early in his career when him and Ngakoue were rushing together in Jacksonville. He's a high pick. And they both put together some good tape. That London game I told you about, Bo, I took a picture with the two of them because we dapped up after the game. And I remember being in the picture and with these two guys, and they were tiny. Like, I was like, oh, they're not really like DNs, and I think that's created a problem for him where he's a little bit of a tweener. And, with a guy like this, it goes to show that's always in him. A year like this has always been in him. He's got to be with the right coach in the right situation. This has been a very good situation for him, and he's played really well. So
he's got 10.5 sacks. He gets a half sack in week 18, gets another $250,000.
Good for him, man.
I hope he does.
$1.125 million already.
Good for him. I'm happy for him, and obviously Baker was absolutely lit at the end of the game watching this game. And we'll talk about the Bucs in a second, but the Rams were the ones.
We should shout out Zach Ertz too, talking about incentives.
Oh yeah, you hit him.
$50,000.
What about the text y'all got?
Yeah, my boy Kyle was listening to the show last week and heard all about the incentives talk and bet Zach Ertz 2+ touchdowns, Zach Ertz 5+ receptions, and a Bijan Robinson touchdown for a huge parlay.
I actually got to mention he's actually giving my game ball to Zach Ertz for that performance, and then within that performance, cashing in on $750K has to feel amazing.
That's feel good.
Just where he's at, like they talked about it after the game, and just where he's at in his career, and like he said, he believes in God and faith and everything, and just for him at the end of your career to get a quarterback like this at the start of his career, it's just something that you don't really get that a lot when you're in a locker room for a long time, or get that perfect parity.
Yeah.
Hey, on my way out, I have possibly one of the greatest or the next great quarterback of our league. I'm getting to play next to him and catch balls where I thought that I was on a team that maybe I was going to be just in a losing locker room for the rest of my career.
Zach's led a charmed life. He really is. Good looking guy. Played a long time in the league. Great player. Married to one of the best soccer players on the planet. Intelligent. Now he's rich as fuck, and he just lands late in his career with the. I'm not jealous of the guy. It sounds like I am. I love Zach. I'm so happy for a guy, as you put it, to take the leap of faith, sign in free agency somewhere like that, and for him, for Luvu, for Fowler, for all these guys that are like, I'm going to take a chance with my future, because in the NFL, you don't get to just waste a year. I mean, your career is too short, especially at the end of your career. I remember at the end of my career, really trying to handpick the places I went, because you don't have a lot of time. And for Zach Ertz to end up doing something like this is another moment you're never going to forget. He's won a Super Bowl, but this is a moment he will not forget.
They're going to have a home game, Washington? Maybe? Possibly?
Zero chance.
Zero chance. Oh, okay.
I guess they could in the NFC Championship if they were the 6 and they played against the 7, but incredibly unlikely.
Okay.